Late Night with BDD. Hey. What up? Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's almost Wednesday. It's almost hump day. That's tomorrow. That's in 1 hour, at least here it is. Let me say a quick hello to Alaska Cindy, Aries Wanderer, the Trump Reaper. Yes, you did get here in time. Monique Lee is here. Tina G, Mariana Z. I'm still trying to get Mariana Z to agree to be on the show with BDD. What's up, Mariana? Are you still too shy to come live? You gotta join us. You gotta join us, for crying out loud. It's a good group of people here. Watcher Soko is here. Diane London, Cha is here. LB Ness from Connecticut is here. Skull Saw 9 is here. Elaine Prieto. Lori Donahue is here. Okay, so let's get this thing rolling. Today's episode is brought to you by the letter C. Letter C, as in clicks, as in cults, as in conspiracy. You guys know I like my alliteration. I see Peter is a boss is here too. Foxhill Dreams, Stephanie L. Look at Mariana. Come on, man. She says she's better in the audience. No. She's funny. She's very funny. If you guys are not following Mariana Z, what are you waiting for? Follow her on Twitter. She keeps me actually, because Twitter has messed with the algorithm. I'm not seeing your tweets hardly ever anymore. So we got to see what we got to do about that. LB, thank you very much. So yes, the letter C, clicks, cults, and conspiracy theories. Before we go any further, look what I have done. Look what Brooklyn Dad has done. Okay, but first, I have a little graphic here. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories. Anybody who knows me knows that I love a good conspiracy theory. And Tina G is saying, don't forget to smash that like button. But see, this is what I did, Tina G. I hope you're proud of me when you see this. You're going to say, what did I do? I created a graphic to remind myself. And I will likely, I've only created one graphic. I didn't put one in the middle or in the end. So remind me, guys, later on, please, to say that again. Hello, Tanya Vav. I see you there. Okay, first things first, here's the important stuff. Before we go any further, you guys know that Wifey is this her second year in our fantasy football league. Mine. Let me make this bigger. I've been in this fantasy football league now for I want to say 20 years, since 1999. Somebody do the math for me, please. That's about 20 years, right? 2009. It's over 20 years I've been in this league. I know, do math so good. And Wifey has taken this league by storm. Last year, she took 4th place. That pays, by the way. It's, if you make it into the playoffs, you win something. You get some of your money back. So it's 24 years, my mathematicians in the audience say. And this year, Wifey took 4th place. You guys want to know what place I took? Last. I was last. I was 14th out of 14. In fact, I did so poorly that the person with fewer wins, I don't know how I managed this, but the person with fewer wins than I did, I think I had finished with 5 wins maybe, and somebody finished with like 3 wins, but they finished ahead of me because I had so many points scored against and fewer. So Wifey took third place. And she's took four. Wifey took third place this year. So congratulations to her. That is tremendous. That's her team right there. The Kiwi Crush. Kiwi Crush. She's in third place. And you see me. I don't know if you can see my thing right there. Brooklyn Magic is my team. It says 12, but I think. Oh, wait a minute. It says 12. Damn, I thought I was in 14th place. Whatever. I did not do well. I did very poorly. All right, enough of that. Enough of that. Let's switch gears. I want to talk briefly about this show that is not a new show. It's actually finished. It's finished its run on TV. I'm watching. Wifey and I are watching. We're streaming this on the Peacock, right? So we get commercials and all that, but whatever. It's Parks and Recreation, and it's just it's a fantastic ensemble cast. Let me make this bigger so you guys can see. Those of you who have not yet seen this show or have only seen a few episodes, I think in the past I might have seen, I don't know, maybe a dozen episodes or so, but scattered, never like back to back to back to back. I highly recommend this show. You've heard, you guys by now, no doubt, have heard all the hubbub about Ted Lasso. You know, was everybody's favorite show, was giving them the feels. I would venture to say that Parks and Recreation will give you the same amount of feels probably once you hit like the middle of season 3, beginning of season 4. You getting the feels from this show, the same kind of hit to the feel sensors once you get up to that part of the show. It's hilarious, by the way. Every character is just phenomenal. It's led by Amy Poehler, who plays the role of Leslie Knope, who is like the head of, or like assistant manager of the parks department. And she's just like, she's a ball of positivity. Actually, now I think about it, this is like Ted Lasso. You know, she is like the same positivity that Ted Lasso is. She's just a little bit more ridiculous and not quite as smooth with her positivity as Ted is. But you know her heart is in the right place. She's fantastic. And there's a bunch of goofy people that work with her whose hearts are all in the right place. And what more can I say? I'm sitting here talking about a show that finished its run probably 8 years ago. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. All right. So let's go ahead and jump right into the main topic for tonight's episode. And that is conspiracy theory. Now, I wanted to punch up the definition of conspiracy theory so I can actually tell you guys what it is. What is a conspiracy theory? It is an explanation for an event or situation. Let me turn this off so you can hear me better, so I don't have to yell. It's an explanation for an event or situation that asserts the existence of a conspiracy by powerful and sinister groups. So think of George Soros, powerful and sinister, the Illuminati, that kind of thing. Often political in motivation, when other explanations are more probable. That's what a conspiracy theory is. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the saying, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. So this is actually a saying that originated from Dr. Theodore Woodward. And it's it was actually meant for medical students, right? So when they're trying to diagnose an illness, that they should not think of the most outlandish, outrageous thing. They should think of the most obvious thing that's right in front of your nose, because 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. So, how does this apply to conspiracy theories? Well, I think the thing that makes conspiracy theories so powerful is that we are humans, and we are constantly searching for reasons for things, reasons why things happen. We want to know why shit happens. We think that there's some of us, not all of us, but some of us think that there is a connectivity, something that connects everything, that every dot is connected. And why do we like to think that? Because if not, if there is no reason, if there's no rhyme or reason to things, a reason why things happen, if there's just a randomness, if there's just chaos, that means there's no control and everybody freaks out. We can't deal with the lack of control in our universe. But that's a fact, that there is a certain amount of chaos. There's as much chaos as there is control in our universe. So it's a 50-50 proposition whether or not things are connected, whether things are zebras or they are horses. And me, there are things that they come out of nowhere, and they're just so in our brains we can't even comprehend. Like I asked my son earlier today, I was like, what's the most fascinating conspiracy theory that just tickles your brain? Because we like to talk about it, because we talk about the conspiracy theories, and he likes the one about the pyramids, right? That the how were the pyramids built? I mean, they're these fantastical structures, right? They are. Here's an interesting quote here from Bee's Knees. Bee's Knees says, "Physics is not all chaos." Thank you for that. That's the control part. Physics, there's always a rule for physics, and I guess there's some rules maybe that we don't know yet, maybe in physics. But thank you for that. I am not a scientist, but yeah, the pyramids, and like I'm with him there, because I remember learning about the pyramids and thinking, holy shit, how did these people thousands of years ago move these massive 4-ton blocks all the way up to the top and just make them so perfect? How did they do that? They didn't have cranes. They didn't have construction equipment. They had sand, and they had, logs and shit like that. How did they do that themselves? It had to be aliens. Here we go. Cha Cha, thank you for that. Cha Cha says aliens, the Trump Reaper. They were built by aliens. Yeah. Yeah. That's that's where I'm still there, guys. I'm still there. I understand. And then look, as I'm talking to my son, I was like, the reason why we think that aliens uh built the pyramids is because the engineering of these structures is so fantastical. Our brains cannot comprehend that people thousands of years ago would be brilliant enough to be able to come up with a way to do that, to engineer that. But then I said to him, this is what I said. I said, so that's not really fair, because here we are in the future, right? We're in the future, and we're creating all these fantastical things. We're creating computers in the palm of your hand. We split the freaking atom. We've done things that have never ever been done before in science. That if you were to take what was known as a doctor like 200 years ago and put him in a time machine to right now, and they see how we do things with lasers, non-intrusive, surgery where they don't even have to cut the skin, their minds would be blown and be, how did you do this? So it's not really fair to say that the people centuries ago couldn't figure this out, because look at we're figuring shit out now, so is mankind right now more intelligent than mankind was thousands of years ago? No, I don't think so. It's just a different kind of intellect and figuring out of things. Here, he said, Squirry Mouse says, we did a lot of great stuff before computers, back when critical thinking was, a thing. Thank you for that. Nice quote. Trump Reaper says, Alexander the Great destroyed the Egyptian libraries, unfortunately. Yes, this is a tragedy. All right, so let's continue. For me, I think my entry into the whole conspiracy theory mindset was when I learned about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Not when I learned about his assassination, but when I learned that there were other theories behind how he was killed. Now, it was explained that Lee Harvey Oswald was the guy who did it, right? From a clock tower, or was it an abandoned warehouse, like very, very far away. It was like an impossible shot at a moving target, with an old rickety rifle, and it hit several other targets, from weird angles. I don't know if you can hear the disbelief in my voice. I still think that there were other shooters depository. Thank you, Trump Reaper. You guys, I love you how you give me the right words to finish these sentences. Book depository. Thank you, Wilbur. Yeah, so that's where my brain took a left turn. It's like, wait a minute. So there is a generally accepted explanation for how John F. Kennedy was killed. But most people don't believe that. Some people think it was the CIA. Some people think it was the mafia. There's all these different hypotheses, these theories about how he was murdered, assassinated. This one is interesting. This next one here, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. That is Sir Paul McCartney. I don't know. Oh, and before I move on, Foxhill Dream says the truth never came out. I myself am waiting for that official report to come out. Like, I'm going to try to stay alive as long as possible in case they release that shit when I'm like 100. I want to know. Here, Sylvia P says it was government and mafia. Bee's Knees thinks it was Genovese, the Genovese family. And Veronica Tello says maybe Jackie O. But this one here, this one is bizarre to me. This is and Wilbur McCarthy says the second shooter on the grassy knoll. Back and to the left. There's a conspiracy theory that says that the Paul McCartney that we know and love for all these years is not Paul McCartney. That in fact, the real Paul McCartney died well before the Beatles became, popular and well known. They got this guy who kind of looked like Paul McCartney, and they got him to take Paul McCartney's place. And that's why at the end of certain songs, I think there's one song, I think it might be Strawberry Fields, at the very, very end, if you listen carefully, you have to like turn your volume all the way up at the end of this song, and you'll hear something. It sounds like he's saying, I buried Paul. I buried Paul is what it sounds like he's saying. And it's so, so low, you have to crank your volume all the way up. Listen to that song. I'm pretty sure is it Strawberry Hill or Strawberry Fields or The Fool on the Hill? Trump Reaper says it's Strawberry Fields. Okay. Why would they have to replace Paul? Good question. I don't know. I mean, maybe because they saw that this this band had the potential to be a super band, a legendary band, and it did. Um, but I don't know. I'm not buying this one. This one I'm not buying. That why? Why? Here's the problem with conspiracy theories. Here's the problem with conspiracy theories, right? So conspiracy requires more than one person, two minimum, two people. And for it to remain a conspiracy, that means all of the parties involved have to keep a tight lid on that shit, right? Foxhill Dream says, because Paul was hot. That's why. Uh, and Cindy, Alaska Cindy, thinks this is garbage. um, the problem with conspiracy theories is that they're conspiracy theories. Yeah, but the thing is, you need all these different people who are involved who have some sliver of knowledge to keep their mouths shut. Otherwise, the cat's out of the bag. All right, so let's see, where were we? Sir Paul McCartney, that's that one. The moon landing. So here's a perfect example of, my God, you would need dozens of people to say nothing about it. And, look, I have an answer for that too. I have a great imagination. Dozens of people to say nothing about it. You compartmentalize the information that each person who's involved has. And so nobody knows everything. Everybody knows just a little bit about. Look, let's make something clear. I am not promoting the legitimacy or veracity. I want to make this clear to those of you who don't know me. Those of you, this is your first time watching the show. And by the way, if you like what you're seeing, please remember to hit the subscribe and the like button, which is somewhere on your control panel, somewhere there, right? Subscribe and like to this show. This will help tremendously for me to keep going on about conspiracy theories and such. But I am not advocating for any of these conspiracies. I'm just saying, as a person who has an affinity for these crazy wackadoo conspiracies, they can be a problem, very problematic for our society, right? So let's continue. The moon landing. People think there are conspiracy theorists who believe that the moon landing was faked. Like I said, and it's just like a very elaborate conspiracy. The number of people who would need to keep their mouths shut is astronomical. Over this length of time, by now somebody would have spoken up just to get a payday, just to just to make some money off of being a behind the scenes possible whistleblower. No, come on, no. We were up there. Let's give ourselves some credit. If we're going to give the Egyptians, credit for constructing those fantastic pyramids, by God, let's give ourselves some credit for having the wherewithal, the technology, the innovation to get up to the goddamn moon. I mean, the Russians were right. If anybody would be interested in debunking the United States, it would be Russia. And I think they would pay handsomely to debunk us landing on the moon. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Area 51. Oh, I love this one. I love this one because the whole thing about aliens is so mysterious. It's mysterious. And here's one thing where, you know, I think the conspiracy theorists are more on the side of right than wrong here. And because I'll say this, it's highly unlikely that we are, and you might think I'm crazy for saying this, but it is highly improbable that we are the only sentient beings in this entire universe. Highly improbable. So Area 51 is supposedly in the desert of Nevada. Did I say that right? Nevada. Uh, it's in the area of Nevada, and supposedly it contains alien remains. It contains spaceships, actual spaceships or debris from spaceships. All types of stuff is at Area 51. Top secret. You can't get on there. That one, I love that one. And also recently they've released a whole bunch of Cindy said, okay, Area 51 is hot. Cha reminding, saying we can visit Area 51. It's a tourist attraction in Vegas. Oh yeah, Lori Donahue reminding us. I wish I had brought a picture of Miss Universe. She's Miss America for one with this ridiculous contraption with the moon on her. Crazy. How did I not remember to bring that one? Anyway, let's continue. I seriously believe that there are aliens, and I'm afraid, to be perfectly honest with you, I believe that aliens exist, and I'm afraid that if they make contact with us, they will demolish us. They will destroy us. They would just see us as savages. Yeah. I remember when the AIDS virus came into general knowledge, it was the 80s, and I was in middle school and then high school. I remember having to do a report on AIDS. That was like in early 1980, 81, 82. But by the time I was a teenager, I want to say I was 18 or 19 when that happened. When I turned, it was 18 or 19, I was in Phoenix House. I was in an adolescent facility of Phoenix House with 350 other recovering addicts. You guys don't know. I've got a deep, long story, but we used to sit around and talk about the AIDS virus, how it came into being, and the generally accepted explanation was that it came from monkeys in Africa. Monkeys passed it on to human beings, and none of us believed that. When I say none of us, it was mostly people of color that were in the Phoenix House with me, and we believed that it was that the AIDS virus was developed by government scientists that wanted to come up with a population control device. Yeah, seriously. Like I said, I was 18, 19, whatever, and my mind was susceptible to this. I'm not necessarily so sure that this is not what happened, the AIDS virus. I know, and it's horrible to say that, to think that my fellow man or woman, fellow man, would come up with something as devious as infecting the human population with a deadly illness to control the population. I'm not the first person with the kind of imagination to think that our own fellow humans could do something to our own fellow humans. Watch a movie like Soylent Green, you know. It's some nasty shit in Soylent Green. Anyway, let me go forward. This is a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy. Here's another one. And this was just stupid. This was disproven. And it disgusted me to no end that President Obama, I felt like he degraded himself by giving in to this nonsense where Donald Trump raised the doubt in President Obama's citizenship, American citizenship. Like, are you fucking kidding me? This ridiculous carnival barker, everybody's taking him seriously, who has yet to find a lie that he will not fully embrace. They took him seriously? So President Obama produced his long form certificate, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter whether he did or not, because the people that didn't want to believe it were not going to believe it. That's the thing about conspiracy theories. You can hide your disgusting biases. These conspiracy theories aren't just for the people who are bored, who are looking for a reason for things to happen that happen. There could be just people who hate people of color. Like President Obama. President Obama was the most fantastic candidate I had seen at that point, up until that point. And it just anyway, by the time this birth certificate conspiracy theory came about, President Obama had already been in office, had already passed the Affordable Care Act, and had already shown that he's head and shoulders above any other politician we had seen to that point. Here, this Trump Reaper saying a lot of fake theories are anti-Semitic. Yes. And I've seen a bunch of those crop up. They are disgusting. And they often refer to some kind of global. Anytime you hear somebody talking about global control of something, watch the fuck out. That is, you're about to hear some anti-Semitic shit come out of somebody's mouth when they talk about global control, global this, global that, global conspiracy, global control of the media, all that, global control of finances, that shit. When you hear that, get ready to tell somebody to shut the fuck up. Get ready to tell somebody to shut the fuck up, which Joe Biden did so fantastically in that debate against Donald Trump, who is, you can actually honestly say he is a cult leader. He is a cult leader. He's a guy who produces merchandise that his cult followers purchase. They give him money, so he gives them shitty, overpriced, branded merchandise, and they walk around and they drive around in their trucks covered in stickers and flags. And yeah, so we did our thing and we beat his ass. And there's QAnon followers and Trump supporters. They have a connection. I wouldn't say all QAnon followers are Trump supporters, but most Trump supporters are. I got that wrong, but whatever. There is a nexus where QAnoners and Trump supporters are friendly with each other. They believe the same crazy shit. So the night, election night, Donald Trump came out and decided that he was going to prematurely declare victory, right? And in fact, I think we did win. He was mad that he was ahead at one point, and then all of a sudden, what happened? They kept counting the votes, and then he wasn't ahead. It was the most ridiculous thing. Like, yeah, dude, you discouraged your voters from using mail-in ballots. Why would you do that? Because now the mail-in ballots are kicking your ass. They're kicking your ass. But this was all a plan. This was all his plan. His plan was to take his deluded Trump supporters and QAnon followers, right? And spin a yarn of an election being rigged. He didn't start that shit on November 4th. He started, or November 3rd, he started that months ahead. He said that they're going to try to steal this election. He said that. And, this was before any votes were cast, before anyone had filled out a single ballot. He planted that seed, that wicked seed in their brains. And, I guess he was successful in creating that conspiracy theory, the stolen election, the big lie. He was successful because his supporters, above all else, have a victim complex. They want to believe that there is a massive elite group of people that are trying to deny them of shit and eat babies, drink babies' blood or whatever, So after President Biden was declared the winner, here come all the protest marches. Stop the steal. And this was already a thing. Stop the steal. This was people working with Trump were generating this resentment against the outcome of the election. And they were literally stoking the incorrect belief that this election was stolen. It was not a fair or secure election. And the people who were appointed to oversee this whole thing, the security of this thing, they came out and said, yeah, this is the most secure election we've ever had. And I'll be honest, I am, a closeted conspiracy theorist. I was concerned that, I was concerned about pressing a button on like those touchscreen voting things and pressing for Biden, and then it would get flipped to Trump. I was afraid that was going to happen. It did not happen to me. But yeah, Veronica Tello asking, what would have happened if Hillary supporters did that? They'd be calling us nuts, and they probably did. Actually, they did. They told us you lost, move on. So we moved on, and then we waxed his ass in 2020. A whole army of Trump lawyers, for those of you who are listening, I'm putting air quotes around lawyers because I got a picture of Rudy Hair Dye Giuliani on the screen, who went out and got their asses waxed 65 different times, 65 different court decisions, all saying, no, take your ass out of here. There was no election was stolen from you. Go. Bye-bye. And then it all culminated on January 6th in what was the most disgraceful display of sore losership I've ever seen. This was an insurrection. We've never seen an insurrection on the Capitol after a presidential election ever. This was the first time. And this one was incited by Donald Trump and carried out by his followers. And some of these followers, they had military precision. They were prepared. People had T-shirts printed for this thing. This, people might want to say that this was a spontaneous thing, but nah, there were people who were planning, people who showed up with zip ties and a freaking noose, a gallows, for crying out loud, shouting, hang Mike Pence. Unreal. Here, Trump Reaper. says, I cannot stand Pensifer, but he doesn't deserve to be lynched. That's right. He's doing his job. Whether you like him or agree with him or not, he was doing his job. And strangely enough, he gets credit for doing the bare minimum to help save our democracy. He was, we were that close to having a dictator for life. And what helps these conspiracy theories marinate? What helps them to circulate? It's social media. Social media. It's the Facebook. It's the Twitter. Not so much the Instagram, but also the Instagram, the TikTok, all of those main appendages of social media played a big part in helping to spread the angst, the anxiety, the resentment, the anger of the big lie. And it's a big problem. And I'm more on the social media in a little bit. But first, let's talk about COVID, right? COVID is another breeding ground that is ripe for conspiracy theories everywhere from people think Dr. Fauci created COVID in a lab in Wuhan, to there's something in the vaccine that is gonna, if you get the jab, it makes you magnetic and you can get 5G. I mean, I didn't make these things up. You guys know, you've already heard these things already. On the screen here is a picture from a protest in Michigan in 2020. People were angry about being on the lockdown. Yeah. And this, mind you, was well before the vaccine. We even had a vaccine. These are people who had not been able to get a haircut or a cupcake in 2 months, and they were losing their fucking minds. And then out came the vaccines, and it's weird. We switched sides on this. This was funny. In real time, those of us on the left were leery about Donald Trump. We thought that he was so desperate. He was so desperate to win an election that he would rush a vaccine before it was ready, and we would pay the consequences, And so by now, I'm sure many of you have seen the Defiant L's side by side, me saying, oh, I would never take a vaccine that was rushed by Donald Trump. And then down below, I'm saying, yep, I signed up for my vaccine shot or whatever. Because it was a different thing. Because by the time the vaccine came out, it had already been tested. President Biden was in office, and I trusted President Biden. I didn't trust Donald Trump. It's that simple. I didn't trust. Forgive me if I didn't trust the guy who said we should inject bleach and shove a UV light up our ass to to kill the COVID virus. I didn't believe that he was of sound mind or judgment. Sue me. Let's fast forward now. When people have raised their objections about the vaccines. The vaccine has become political. It's politicized now. Maybe I'm partially to blame. Maybe I'm partially to blame for making an issue out of it in the first place. Okay, I'll accept partial blame for it, but I have since moved on and gotten my shot and my boosters, and my family too. So they say, there's another saying about the vaccine is like an IQ test. And some people think that IQ test is if you get the vaccine, you're smart. And other people think if you don't get the vaccine, you're smart. That's where we are, you know? Um, so fast forward to just a few weeks ago when a member of the Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin, was playing in a game against the Cincinnati Bengals and went in for a tackle on T. Higgins. And there was nothing, savage about the hit. I don't think, it looked pretty standard to me. In fact, there wasn't even a helmet to helmet collision. What it was a collision. It was rare, but these things do happen. It was a collision that caused an arrhythmia in his heart. The impact was hard enough to make his heart flutter, not be able to maintain a steady beat. And he went into cardiac arrest. And then 10 minutes, they were performing CPR. And finally, they were able to maintain his pulse. They got him to the hospital. And, thank God he is alive and well. He's been released from the hospital. He's home. His charity, he has a toy donation charity. His charity zoomed up from just $30,000 that night before he was hit to it's well over $8 million right now. It's incredible. But the minute this thing happened, he hadn't even been carted off the field yet. There were these jackasses on the right saying, he's young and suddenly he's dropped. Oh, well, that's because he got the vaccine. Obviously, that's what happened. There's a bunch of people who watched some movie called Died Suddenly. And Died Suddenly is a movie that, again, stokes up the anxiety, the fear and anxiety that something nefarious is in the vaccine. People believe that that the vaccine is what's causing these young, healthy people to drop. They're not even paying attention to the young, healthy people who died from COVID. They're not paying attention to that at all. There's plenty of people who were not fortunate enough to get the vaccine. Look, I remember before the vaccine came out, and I think part of the problem with this conspiracy, why this conspiracy is so sticky, is because before the vaccine came out, a lot of us were under the impression that if I get vaccinated, I'm not going to get COVID. That's what a lot of us thought. I thought it, Maybe I wasn't listening carefully. Maybe I was listening to the wrong people, but I'm pretty sure that is what a lot of us heard and believed. And we were not denied of that illusion, And then obviously what happened next, a lot of us got the vaccine and a lot of us got COVID. What we learned was that no, the vaccine is not going to prevent you from getting COVID. It is going to prevent your ass from dying. It's not going to be 100% guaranteed that you won't die. You might get the vaccine and you might still kick the bucket, but it lowers the chance of your dying from it drastically. In fact, people who have not gotten the vaccine, it's been shown, are much more likely to die from COVID than those who do get the vaccine. That's proven. Now, obviously, yeah, you can cherry pick instances where, oh, look at this young person, he should not have died, but it happens. So people have gone to the extreme now to push their narrative. Whenever somebody dies, whenever somebody is young and they've gotten the vaccine and they died, obviously they think it's because if somebody got hit by a truck, they would swear that it was the vaccine that that did them in. If somebody got killed in a mass shooting, they would say it was the vaccine that did it. It's ridiculous. And, you know, it's dangerous enough. Like President Biden, I think that the Biden administration is about to announce soon that we are past the pandemic. The pandemic is over. I don't know when this announcement is going to happen, but it's going to happen this year. The problem with these sticky conspiracies about COVID is that COVID actually is not over. The pandemic might be over, right? We don't have to lock down anymore. Enough people in society have gotten the vaccine, so we're overall mostly safe. There's still a whole hell of a lot of people that are immunodeficient and will have serious problems, and other people who have comorbidities and things that are going to make them a lot more susceptible to getting COVID, even with the vaccine, and getting hit hard by it. So COVID is not over, right? The pandemic soon will be over. But the problem is that the mistrust in the vaccine is going to cause us to have a lot more deaths than are necessary, preventable deaths. So remember earlier I was talking about social media and how social media helps these conspiracy theories to get circulated and to go crazy. Well, the big problem is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a humongous problem in this equation. It seemed kind of random, like out of nowhere, out of left field, that this guy steps up. Well, apparently he had met with Vladimir Putin shortly after Vladimir Putin had invaded Ukraine. He met with Putin, and then all of a sudden he announced that he was going to put in a bid to buy Twitter at a ridiculous overpriced amount, $44 billion. Everybody thought it was crazy. But he did it. He did it. And as shortly after he took over, it seemed to most of us that he was in fact trying to kill Twitter. He had instituted a bunch of changes. He fired most of his staff, about 75% of the staff. And his reason was that, it was overkill. It was waste or whatever. But no, these were a lot of the people that were moderating content. And his mission was to bring free speech back to Twitter, right? Free speech. And in his mind, in his warped mind, free speech was the ability to spread hate, to spread lies and misinformation without consequence. That's it. That's his idea of free speech. And that's just chaos, really. And to make the matter even worse, what does he do? He institutes this ridiculous $8 verified blue check system. So where anybody who has $8 can just buy a blue check. So what's wrong with this? Why would I give a damn if Joe Blow with 5 followers buys a verified check? Well, so what does a verified check mean? Right? I finally got a blue check last year, 2021. That's after rocking my Brooklyn Dad Defiant account from 2016 until April of 2021. Finally, they blessed me with a blue check. And I didn't even, I wasn't even in the process of asking for it. I had asked for it years ago, 2017, 2018, and they kept rejecting me. So I was like, forget it. They rejected me. And they're like, no, you don't qualify. So like back then it meant something. That's when it meant something to be verified, right? So I don't know what happened. I crossed the 900,000 follower barrier, and then I trended on Twitter briefly, and they were like, "Well, we got to give it to him now." So that's when they gave it to me a year ago, right? So woohoo, big deal. Being verified didn't add any extra oomph to my tweets. It didn't give me any special privileges. I didn't get any free cupcakes at the bakery. No, it was still Brooklyn Dad, still Majid Padelin. Just that check mark was a coveted source of, that guy is a trustworthy source, relatively trustworthy source of information, right? And it was understood. It was an understanding that if you are reading something that is posted by a blue check, they care enough about their own status to not lead you astray, or so you would like to believe. But there are plenty of people on the right who are more than happy with blue checks, more than happy to spread some bullshit. Um, Blue check be damned. But there was still far fewer of those ill-intended people spreading bullshit. But now anybody with $8 can buy a blue check. So now people are just willy-nilly, here and there. Everybody's got a blue check. So it's like, if everybody's a blue check, then nobody's a blue check. Then it's irrelevant. Then who the hell cares, right? Who is an accountable source of verifiable information? Now you got to go the extra step or two to, when you read something from a so-called blue check, now I got to go on Google and fact check this motherfucker. I can't take anybody at face value anymore. So full disclosure, I'm giving Elon $8 a month. The words almost choke in my voice, in my throat to admit that. And it's not for the blue check. It is because I enjoy the features. One feature in particular, there's a feature where you get to use bookmarks. And I've been using it for the past year. And long before Elon Musk came on board, I was subscribing to Twitter Blue. Back then it was only $3.99 a month. And I got hooked on the bookmarks. And I've been using that for this show, finding content for this show. And I have several different bookmarks that I use, So yeah. You guys are like, dude, why? Yeah, it's not like I wanted to. It's just, this is, whatever. So let's continue. So now the proliferation of misinformation has run rampant. Now you got people on Twitter with blue checks, talking, saying, saying negative things about the vaccine, about COVID, and it's a lot. It's just a lot, and sometimes I personally feel worn the fuck down by it. What Elon has been doing to destroy Twitter is he's forcing my content in front of right-wing faces and right-wing content in front of our faces. in front of my face and other left-wing faces. So what happens? That's driving engagement way down for everybody. For everybody, we're all kind of pissed off because I don't even like this dude, and he keeps showing up in my feed. That's what. Those are the replies I get, on my tweets. Why do you keep showing up in my feed? I hate you. And so now I am exposed to a whole lot more of their toxic echo chamber nonsense. And I used to enjoy going through my tweets, going through the replies and chatting with people. But the people now, like I posted a tweet about saying happy birthday, Michelle Obama. And my God, there were 1,000 trolls saying, "Oh, you mean Michael? Oh, you know she's a dude, right?" Disgusting, vile shit. This is his idea of, forcing us to interact with one another. It's annoying. Anyway, I digress. Last conspiracy theory is this one here. It has to do with the Biden documents. So for the past 6 months, we had been focused almost exclusively on the fact that Donald Trump had his Mar-a-Lago residence lawfully searched by the FBI, and they found hundreds of classified documents that he refused to give in. This is not something that, they just woke up one day and decided 6 months ago and said, you know what? Let's raid this motherfucker's house. No, it wasn't like that at all. They've been for the previous year trying to get him to fork shit over. And he was like, no, it's mine. No, you can't have it. No, I gave it him already. No, I declassified it in my mind. And so lo and behold, apparently, documents were discovered at President Biden's office from when he was vice president in Chicago. And now the right wing, before the right wing didn't give a damn about a document when it was Trump. Oh, it's fine. It's just documents. He doesn't even read them. And now all of a sudden they care about classified documents. But there's a big difference. There's a big difference between the two. Joe Biden, it's actually up to 20 now, 20 documents, still a shit ton fewer than Trump has. Some were top secret. He is cooperating 100% with the authorities, and his lawyers found them. He probably didn't even know he had them in those boxes. How often does he even get out to Chicago? Nobody knows. Donald Trump, meanwhile, had those shits right there in Mar-a-Lago, and he had directed people to move those boxes and move his shit. He had things. No idea who. But under my name, he had some of those documents in his desk drawer, for God's sakes. So he had to take them out. He took them out of the box, out of the folder, put them in his desk drawer. It's not like Donald. It's not like you. I don't think you'll even find Joe Biden's fingerprints on those documents. So now people are asking, is there internal sabotage? They were asking, why all of a sudden are we finding these documents in Joe's shit right now? Why? All of a sudden, out of the blue. So people believe, some people believe that President Biden is being set up. Who would set him up? His own people? Somebody on the other side? We don't know. Some people are saying it's people on the left who don't want him to run in 2024, and they're trying to take him down gently. with this. I'm only saying what I heard. These are not my conspiracy theories. Other people think it was somebody on the right, and I think, you know what? If they had the wherewithal to do this, they would have done this shit long before 2020. Okay, when Trump was in power, when he was still in the White House, they would have, orchestrated this. Like I said, guys, I like a good conspiracy theory as much as the next conspiracy theorist. But I also like, it's exhausting to constantly subscribe to conspiracy theories. You are rejecting you're rejecting the reality that is right in front of you. You are hearing hoof prints every time, thinking that it is a zebra. And goddamn well, there's no zebras in New York City. There are horses, quite a few. There's no zebras. I I think there are zebras somewhere in America in the zoos. But that's it. The zebras are not a naturally occurring creature in our forests here in America. So, not only is it exhausting, right, but these conspiracy theories are destructive. They are destroying the fabric of reality that holds us together. We can't even agree on what the fuck reality is anymore. We can't agree on the reality of COVID, of a thing that is that we saw kill people, killing grandma, killing your brother, killing your best friend. We can't even agree on that shit. We can't agree on an election that 65 judges, half of whom were appointed by Trump, rejected the arguments that it was stolen. Those were all rejected 65 times. Come on. Like, that's taking a conspiracy theory, like, just extreme. You just don't want to believe the facts. You got to keep your mind open. I know I'm not even talking to any MAGAs out there. If I am, come on. Come on. Come on. We can't keep lurching from election to election, like disavowing the results if we don't like them. I was pleasantly surprised to see in this last election, there were far fewer people who, even though before the election results came in, reporters would ask them, will you accept the election results? And they were all cagey, like, depends. Depends. Come on, this is a fucking democracy. Either you accept it or you are an anarchist. But, 9 times out of 10 in this election, if somebody won or somebody lost, they were like, okay, even in that one with Lauren Boebert, that one was very close. I'm really disappointed that that she did not lose that election. But at the end of the day, her opponent took his loss gracefully. He was a Democrat, and I'm sure he'll be back, and hopefully he'll kick her out of office the next time. But yeah, I had to get this whole conspiracy theory off my chest, because I'll be honest, like, I am seeing so much conspiracy bullshit on Twitter right now, and it is starting to wear me down a bit. Don't worry, I'm not turning into a MAGA. Not tonight, not tomorrow night, not any night, But I'm a guy who is, I do know who I am, and I am constantly looking for reason and looking for connections between things that make sense. I like to connect dots. I like to have more order than chaos in my universe. But there, you know, at the end of the day, there are some things you cannot control. And no conspiracy theory is going to change that. You might have a brilliant explanation for why you think President Biden has those documents. But the simplest solution is, you know, they got mixed in with some shit that he had and didn't know about it. His lawyers found it. Bada bing, bada boom. In the interest of full transparency, they were like, "Yo, we got some shit over here. I know this is not convenient time for you, President Biden, but this is what it is." And he's like, "All right," and that's that. So, do we have question? Do you guys have any questions for me? I am here to answer the questions, or to do the best I can with answering of the questions. Let's put some chill tunes on now. Veronica Tella says they could have shredded them, but they did not. That is correct. Laurie Donahue says she lost by 500 votes next time. I believe you're talking about Lauren Boebert. I was very happy to see Carrie Lake lose. That was one of my favorite losses of this election cycle. Her and her, what do they call it? The Vaseline filter. Agnes says, come on, brilliant and conspiracy are not words you should put together. Perhaps not. But yeah, like that, those conspiracy theories, you know, they're tempting. They're very tempting for me to jump into. Will Santos win the Olympics? I'm gonna say no. Okay, no. And the Trump Reaper says, will you be doing another show this week? I'm not sure at the present time. It is difficult to get to get guests. I am busy chasing them down. Oh, next week. I don't know if you guys know Tizzy Ent. If you know who this guy is, he's fantastic. He's got a longer beard than I do, and he's got a deep voice, and he's got blue eyes, and I've been chatting with him, and he said he's willing to do a show next week, not this week, but next week. So yeah, and Nancy is saying, proud of you for remembering. Like and subscribe today. Thank you for the reminder. And I will just say again, if you've been watching this show thus far and you like what you see, please to hit the subscribe and a button. And if you are so inclined, you could also hit the little notification button. It looks like a bell. You can hit that, and whenever one of my lives goes live, you will be notified, and then I can answer your questions live as we are doing now. Oh, that damn Alaskan with the breaking news here. George Santos apparently is kicking for the Cowboys this weekend against San Francisco. Yo. Dude, missed 4 extra points. I'll admit, if it was me, I would have yanked him after he missed the second one, because apparently he had missed one the previous week. So that was, by the time he missed his second extra point in this game, that was his 3rd in a row missing. I would have yanked him and said, look, I would have said to Dak Prescott, you're going for 2. After every touchdown, we're going to go for 2. That's it. Let's see. And thank you, Diane London. Good to see you too. Cindy wants to know here. Cindy C wants to know: are we worried the Republicans in the House will impeach Biden just to ruin him for history's sake? Yes. Yes. No question. It's not if. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. They're already off the hook. They undid a ban on cigarettes you can't smoke indoors anywhere in the United States. To my understanding, maybe I don't know. Maybe there's some places in Utah or Montana or something that yeah, go ahead, you can smoke it here if you want to. But in the House of Representatives, you're gonna let people smoke? Chances are, people are already so accustomed to walking outside to smoke, they're probably not going to do it. I remember up until 17 months ago, I was a smoker. Today makes 17 months. I have not smoked. And I'll tell you, I get the urge. I'm getting cravings on a daily basis. I get them. They spike. The urges, they spike when I'm stressed. So it's still in me. And I'm sick of it. But hopefully these urges will go away soon. But yeah, they're crazy. They're off the chains. They also got rid of the metal detectors, so anybody could sneak a weapon into the U.S. Capitol if they wanted to. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, Mariana has a question here. She wants to know: how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Good one. Thank you for that. Oh, I see quite a few of you are familiar with Tizzy Ent. Samantha says she follows him on Twitter and TikTok. TikTok, I believe, is where he makes most of his videos. And holy shit, dude has 5 million TikTok followers. That's impressive. That's a lot of millions. Squirrel Mouse says her first time watching me tonight, ringing my bell. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's see. Lori Donahue says Santos won the butterfly in world record time. Dun, 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 dun. Gas stove or induction? What is this? Where did this gas stove? Oh, I know where it came from. There was a report that came out saying that maybe gas stoves cause asthma. So that's all you need to do to trigger a right winger, is to say that something that you've been using for a long time might be dangerous. People are so stupid. God, what did they do when lead paint became unsafe? Did they start hoarding many cans of lead paint and then paint their house extra leady? Who knows? Note to Republicans: Idiocracy is not supposed to be a documentary. Here's another one here from Alaska. Cindy: no right to bear arms in Missouri. Isn't that a damn shame? They all rang the alarm bells about was it ISIS? No, Sharia. It was Sharia law. Do you guys remember? The right wingers were like, "Oh, Muslims are going to bring Sharia law here, and then it's going to be all over." And now, what are you doing? Why don't you just insist they wear a burqa? Agnes says November was 12 years for her quitting. Congratulations, my friend. That is good stuff. 12 years. I look forward to that. Oh, look at Ben Carlazzo says he just saw that post wanted to tell me he had nightmares about falling off the wagon. Then he woke up. So my nightmares are like drug nightmares, and they're not funny. They're not cool at all. Like those are the ones I wake up in a sweat. Like I am going on this August 17th will not only make 2 years cigarette free for me, it'll make 20 years drug and alcohol free. 20 years. It's huge. It's a humongous milestone, and I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world. Like my life is beautiful now, you know. When I say it's beautiful, I didn't win the lottery, you know, in the like lottery sense, you know. Like I won the lottery in the life sense. Like, you know, I'm happy, you know, I'm in love, and I got a beautiful family, and really that's all you need. That's all you need. Food also, roof overhead also. It helps. Yeah. Oh, so Cindy, Cindy has an answer for you. She says a woodchuck would chuck as much wood as a woodchuck would if a woodchuck could chuck wood. That's an answer. That's very good. That's very good. I love it so much. And Aries Wanderer wants us all to know that they have gas. Thank you for sharing that. I think we might not have known about the status of your intestines if you had not said anything. So thank you for sharing that. Did you mean to say you have a gas stove, or just that you're feeling a little airy now? It was a study. Squirrel Mouse says it was a study that found the danger for young kids, and Dip Dunks blew it all out of proportion. Okay. I could go on like this for a long time. I'm sure you guys know, but there are some of our viewers out there who they have to work in the morning and they don't want to be rude, so they're going to hang out and listen to me ramble about just nothing. Aries Wanderer has a Samsung gas stove. That's fancy. That's very fancy. We have a gas stove here, and wifey prefers gas stove. She does indeed. But you know, at the end of the day, if it's definitively determined that that gas stoves really 100% cause some harm to our children, then we're going to reassess what we're doing, right? How we're cooking. Hey, Veronica Tello, thank you, my friend. Thank you for the kind donation. Thank you for that. It's very sweet of you to do this. Ben Carlazzo quit in 1984. Wife said if I was still smoking, would not have married me. Oh! It's a good one. I feel so lucky that wifey married me in spite of the fact that I was a cigarette smoker at the time. I'm so glad that I'm not anymore, because now when I smell cigarette, it is stink. It doesn't smell pleasant. And so the fact that I was subjecting her to that for such a long time and she put up with it, that lady loves me. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Storytime with BDD. Wait, actually, this is Late Night with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. And if you have not yet gotten your shot, what are you waiting for? Get your shot. Also, wear your mask, when it is prudent to do so, and keep your social distance 6 feet or better. And guys, yeah, next week, look forward to seeing me in an interview with a very interesting individual known as Tizzy Ent. And in the meantime, if I am going to do another show this week, I'll be sure to let you know. Until then, I love you all. Peace. Late Night with BDD. Hey, Fox Hill Dreams, you are very welcome. We got a good night all from Ben Carlazzo and that damn Karen. Good to see you, Karen. Bee's knees. Bee's knees. Thanks for the great show. Stay safe, all. Tanya Vav says, a good night, y'all. Watcher Soko getting the second booster and flu shot tomorrow. Oof. You are doubling down on the sickness protection. Good for you, my friend. Good for you. I'm trying to find Cindy C's question here. Cindy C says she had a question. And she's away, so I'm scrolling up now. I'm not seeing your question, Cindy. I guess I won't get an answer for that. I'll have to wait for my birthday to find out. We'll see. What is the question? All right, you guys. Well, you know what time it is. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. You need to leave.